Hi guys, welcome to the Mind of Reese. I'm so glad that you guys are here today. I just want to say thank you again for you guys taking the time to listen to my podcast every week. I know that you guys always need a little bit of motivational juju during these podcasts, and especially during this time right now. I have a really big heart for all that kind of thing, and I know that you guys, if you follow me on my Instagram or like my IG lives and things like that, I talk a lot about business, and here is like my open space for personal development and why I think personal development is so important to implement into your business. So more so when you listen to these podcasts, it tends to be more on the spiritual thought process side of life. And I think it's incredibly important. And actually, I think the most important thing and muscle to focus on is your brain and is your thoughts, because we really need to be very, very well aware that it's our thoughts and beliefs that create our reality and that create our success and things like that. So a lot of times I find myself veering off into when I'm in my own world, especially, on my day-to-days. And I find that constantly I'm very future focused. And what that means is that I am constantly creating goals for myself and new challenges for myself and thinking ahead of how I can achieve those goals and dreams. And oftentimes I find myself losing the moment, and I feel that I'm not present and in the moment. And as a person that is future focused but wants to remain abundantly in the moment and wants to remain very grateful of each moment that I have, because all we have are these moments, is this moment right now. And it's very hard, especially if someone like me where, yesterday I was just told recently by a good friend of mine that I thrive in chaos and pressure. And I would not say that that's not me, but I understand that from a third person perspective, for someone to say that to me, it makes me think about that. I like to think of everybody outside of themselves. So like for me, everybody out there in the world is my secondary character to my story. And so as me being his secondary character to his story, it brought up a lot of interesting ideas inside of me as well, and that I'm always focused on the future, always goal-oriented, which I think is wonderful. But at the end of the day, we only have right now. And so what today I want to talk about is the 5 different tips that I would offer is how to stay in the present moment, even when you're as goal-oriented as me, or even when you're kind of an overthinker. I can definitely say that I've done that many times, where I find myself thinking about the past or dwelling about a conflict or situation from my past, that I go over and over in my mind thinking of how I could have done it differently, how I could have been different, what I could have said differently. And I constantly do the same thing with the future, where I'm like, okay, well, I need to do these and these things in order to get this and this. And I tend to skip out on the moments. And the way I bring myself back to it are 5 different ways, but I find that it's like you get lost in a scenario that happens in the future, and we forget, especially the things that are in your past. The past is done. The past is over. We can't change that past. And as much as we want to tell ourselves that, for some reason that just doesn't click, and it doesn't stop us from constantly thinking about it. It's like a broken record that goes up in our minds over and over and over again. And a lot of times people will say, oh, it was meant to be, it was meant to be that way. And I love that. The phrase kind of obviously irks me a bit, because it brings up something inside of me that's like, well, it could have been different. You know what I mean? But it's very true. It was meant to be. Why was it meant to be? Because it is. And I think once I realized that, and I stopped fighting it so much, I realized that the reason why it happened was because it happened. It's already done. It happened that way because it was supposed to. And I can't change that. That's a circumstance I can't change. I can't change my current circumstance. I can't change my past circumstances. I can't change my future circumstances. I can shape and form them with my thoughts, which create a feeling, which create an action, and then later a result. But doesn't mean that I have any real say in what goes on. I can only take the steps in order to reach a goal or to get on the right path to a journey to reach that goal. And I think that that's where we miss the mark. We're so eager to be over there when we really need to be grateful for what's going on right now and what's going on right here. And especially if you are in a situation where you're thinking of the future or the past and you're thinking of it negatively. And anytime you're having a negative thought or a negative feeling inside of you, it's just due to a negative thought. And it's just due to an untruth and an opinion about the situation or something like that. So, like I said, I find myself constantly thinking about the future and the past, but recently I have a lot on my plate. I always do. I am currently in the process of releasing my program, Inspired Instagram. It's going to be released at the end of the month. The doors are going to open, which is my online Instagram marketing program for tattoo artists. And it's a pretty hard work 6 weeks program because, I'm very, very much involved and very hands-on. And so I know I have to be ready for coaching my students and things like that. Not only that, but I'm also getting ready to go back to tattooing full time. Right now we're not tattooing a lot, and some of us are not tattooing at all. Some of us are getting back to work, but it just depends on the state that you're in. But the coronavirus has definitely halted that, but I am still booking. And so I'm getting ready for designs and future projects in the tattoo industry. But I also tacked on, of course, another thing on my plate, and I decided to open up a shop. And I already have a shop right now. It's my private studio, but I'm planning on moving locations. And this kind of just happened randomly. The opportunity presented itself, and I jumped on it. And I find myself wanting to hurry, sign the paperwork, do all these things. And what I'm hitting, and this is my own opinion, and this is what I'm realizing that I'm having an opinion about a situation, is that I feel like I'm hitting a roadblock with the person that owns the building. And since this woman, I'm sure she's a little bit, I don't know, I want to say like a little bit, well versed into the business part of it when it comes to real estate, or maybe she's just not understanding me properly. But there's some things where I feel as though we'll be having a conversation where I'm trying to get to the point of the business part of it, and it kind of veers off. And I sometimes get frustrated and a bit aggravated. And then I start having these judgmental thoughts, these negative thoughts. And then every time I see like her name pop up on my phone or something like that, I automatically have a judged experience where I roll my eyes and I'm like, oh, not this again. And now this is going to take me like another 30 minutes. This is wasting my time, And all these thoughts that go inside of your brain. And so I'm not even being in the moment, no longer actively listening to what she has to say, no longer realizing that, hey, this is happening for a reason. Why? Because it's happening. Instead of fighting the current, instead of fighting the situation, because we can't fight our circumstances. I can't fight with the sun outside and being like, can you please rain now? And then get mad about it. I can't fight someone's personality and just be like, can you not be the way I don't want you to be? Because how egotistical is that I have some sort of power over someone to make everybody be as pleasant as I need them to be in order for me to get the things I need to get done. And then I can go on with my day happy, go merry around. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work that way. And when I finally realized I was doing this, I was no longer in the moment. I was allowing myself to be outside of myself, no longer living with me inside my body in this beautiful house I live in, the beautiful sunny San Diego outside with awesome people surrounding me, and no longer looking at a situation as a learning experience. Instead, I'm looking at it as like I gotta fight a roadblock. First off, you just have to not take life so seriously. It's not that serious. Second, have you ever thought, and this is me asking myself, have you ever thought, Reese, that this is a learning experience? And any time that when I stop and I am aware of those thoughts, split-second awareness of those thoughts, I am back in the moment. I am back here in the present moment. I can see the beautiful green outside. I can see this big, beautiful house. I can look at my life as how abundant it is, how abundant we all are. And then my thought process changes. And then I become a lot more patient. I become more accepting of who she is, because she is allowed to be whoever she wants to be, and realize that, hey, it's me. And I'm the one taking myself out of the moment. It's not her. I can't blame anything on her. It's on me. It's what my thoughts are doing. I'm outside of myself because I decided to believe that I am my thoughts. And one of the coolest things I had ever read by Eckhart Tolle, I'm going to read this to you right now. It says, the most significant thing that can happen to a human being is the separation process between thinking and awareness. That awareness is the space in which thoughts exist. The primary cause of unhappiness which is what I am putting myself through, is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. Now, let me read that one more time. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. You know, I am a huge fan of Eckhart Tolle. If you've never read any of his books or watched him speak, he is just amazing. And he writes the book called The Power of Now. I've read that book several times because I do believe that we can be goal-oriented, fast-paced, and still be in the moment and still be grateful for what we have right now. Where I'm realizing that I'm having an issue is because I'm trying to be over there. I'm trying to get her to sign these lease papers, get her to say yes to my conditions and what I would like to do with the building, get her to do all these things, when really, if I sit down, be aware of the thoughts I'm having in my head, I am having a lack mindset. I'm having a scarcity mindset. That I want this now. If I don't get it, I'm gonna be upset. I'm not gonna be complete. I'm not gonna feel like a winner. I'm not gonna feel accomplished. I don't feel like I had success. It could be any of those thoughts, the reasons why I want this to hurry up and go faster, and why I want to be over there and not be okay with being right here. And that's awareness. I clicked myself back into awareness, and then I was like, how dare I? How dare I think that I have any control over someone else? How dare I try to force someone into a box that I want to put them in? You know what I mean? I'm sure that you guys can relate to this, how you get so upset with someone outside of you because you feel like they need to be a certain way in order for you to be happy. That's what it all boils down to, happiness or unhappiness. And the only time you're truly in happiness is when you believe a thought that's not true, or you believe that you are your thoughts. Don't give that power away. I definitely hate it when I do it. I catch myself doing it all the time. But that's the thing about the muscle of our brains. We train and we train and we train. We train it like you would a muscle, my gluteus maximus. I train that shit all the time. I want that thing to get bigger and stronger, like my brain. I want my brain to get bigger and stronger. So it's all about the focus. And the more times you catch yourself doing something or being outside of yourself, being in the past, being in the future, those are the times you finally find peace and you find awareness and you find happiness and gratitude in the things you already have right now. Because what you have right now is perfect. What you want, awesome. But the problem is that we put so much weight on those goals. It's not about being there. It's about the journey getting there. That's the success in life. Being in the present moment, enjoying the present moment, gratitude for the present moment, realizing the things that are being presented to you and the situations that are being presented to you are for your good. Why? Because it's being presented to you. Why is it good? Because it's being presented to you. I'm telling you right now, all the things that have happened in your life, if you go back, haven't you ever said to yourself, well, it was meant to happen that way because look how much I've learned? Wouldn't it be so badass to think that thought in the moment of when a situation is happening, when a circumstance is happening, that you're like, fuck, this sucks. Hey, let me stop that. That's a negative thought. Why do I think that sucks? Does it actually suck? You question your own thoughts because why? You are not your thoughts. It's just your brain thinking thoughts. You don't have to identify yourself with your thoughts. That's why Eckhart Tolle is so smart when he says it's an unconscious identification with one's memories and thoughts, thinking that you are your memories and your thoughts. That is the major aspect of human dysfunction. What? Bro, I eat this shit up for breakfast every day. I know, I get mind blown. And sometimes I'll read these things and it doesn't click and it doesn't click. And then one day it clicks. And you'll realize I am not my thoughts. I am not these thoughts inside of my head. That is not me. Our brain is so rad and so awesome that it thinks a million different thoughts all the time, and we can get lost in that subconscious. But we don't have to. We can choose not to by practice and practicing to realize that our brain is a muscle we can control. Our thoughts is something we can control. We have complete control. And when you realize that shit's like peaceful. You become peaceful. So it's like, realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now your primary focus of all of your life. I found this really challenging. Like I said, I'm very future focused, but it's not about not being future focused. You can make the plans, you can have the goals, but realize it's about the journey, about attaining those goals, realizing it's the evolvement of your mind. You're evolving in your humanness to reach that goal because you're taking action and you're moving forward, yet you are being present in the moment and being grateful for each step that you can take to get to that point. That's where I'm coming from. And that's what I want to really, really dive into today. And I want to give you guys a couple of actions that you can take in order to stay in the moment. So these are really, really easy ones. I used to do these a lot. I still do these now, but I used to do these a lot in hyper awareness, where I focus a lot on them to make sure that I stayed in the moment. Because in the beginning, when I first started this practice of remaining in the moment and remaining here and in the now, I had to constantly have like sticky notes and post-it notes as reminders to remember to do these things. But now they're always on my mind. But like I said, literally yesterday, the day before, I had these out-of-body experiences, as you will, and not the good kind. Because I don't really believe an out-of-body experience is a good thing. All the drugs and things like that, I don't think that's a good thing. I think being very hyper-aware of your thoughts and your feelings, that's real. That is the kind of experience or human experience that I want, because I face them and I am very well aware of them. Now, I'm not knocking it. I'll try a lot of things, just to see what it feels like, what the experimentation is. But that's just my own opinion of that. So back to the 5 ways I think that you can stay in the moment. The first one would be single task everything, not only your work, but everything. So what I first had done in order to stay really, really in the moment, especially when I knew I wasn't being in the moment, was I would hyper-focus. I would hyper-focus the things that I'm doing. Like right now, I am so in the moment because I have exactly what I want to say. I have exactly how I want to say it, and I don't want to lose my train of thought. Like, how some people say, oh, I zoned out there for a second. That's you getting lost in your subconscious and getting lost in your thoughts. And sometimes you don't even remember what you were getting lost in. And that's, to me, is kind of scary. Because sometimes I want to be aware, not sometimes, all the time. I want to be aware of my thoughts and where I'm going in my brain, and just having that hyper awareness of what I can control. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I think I'm allowed to be, in my own opinion, because, these are one things we can control. Now, do I let it go? Do I allow situations to just run their course and me to control the thoughts that go on in my brain due to said situation? I have control of my thoughts. Yeah, no, I don't have control of people. I don't have control of the weather. I don't have control of the world. I don't have control of anything else but me, myself, and I, and the way I think about anything going on outside of me. And when I realize that, it's like gold. That's gold. So make sure, the first thing is to make sure that you hyper-focus on every task you do. So when you're brushing your teeth, switch hands. Brush your teeth with your opposite hand, because it makes you think about how well you're brushing your teeth when you're focused on a different hand. When you're doing something habitual, you just allow your thoughts to run away with it. And not saying that everybody wants to be super hyper in the moment of brushing their teeth, but you miss out on maybe cleaning your teeth correctly, or even just realizing that this is a beautiful practice an easy way to practice staying in the moment. So hyper-focus every task. Make sure that when you're working, you only focus on that one task at hand. You don't veer off. If you have to, turn off your phone. Turn off, the notifications on your phone. A lot of times I put my phone on airplane mode so that nobody's bothering me, because the moment my phone dings, I will pick it up habitually, read the text, and then sometimes if I'm so hyper-focused in my work and this text brings me out of my work, how hard is it to get back into your work? It's pretty hard. And then especially if that text is a work text and I'm just like, oh man, I have to deal with this right now, and then you lose yourself. And then you get out of the moment. You're upset because someone bothered you. This is really bad, but it happens. Like I'm being honest about how sad and petty I can sometimes think, But I just want you to know that I go through it too. And so, pay attention to the task at hand. Make sure that you're doing the work effectively and only that work. I am huge on time management. I pretty much schedule everything in my day, including what time I meditate, eat, and ride a bicycle. It's like crazy pants, but I'm good at that. It works for me. And I like that because it helps me stay on track. It gives me a time limit on what I can do on certain tasks. If I don't get it done, I move on to the next task. That's just how I roll. I force myself to do it because sometimes I want to get it done. But my thought will always be on the second thing I got to get done since my schedule told me to. So it's just an interesting thing. So just make sure that you're doing your tasks and you hyper-focus on it. Number 2 to staying present is do it slowly. Go slower. So sometimes, if you're a tattoo artist, myself, I'm a tattoo artist for 7 years. There have been times, and don't get me wrong, where, my thoughts will go away from me during my tattoo. And it happens. But I always find myself falling away and I'm like, skirt back, Reese, back to the time at hand, because not only do I want to be completely present with my client, be completely there for them. They are here paying me good money to alter their body for life. I want to be completely present in that moment. But, it doesn't have to be so serious. It could be something just like I said, brushing your teeth. You could just go slowly at that. Remember the moment. And the more you do this, especially like in the shower, you want to wash your body and you don't want to just go and get rid of it. It's like, who doesn't want to enjoy a really hot, yummy shower? Like, I love a good hot, yummy shower. I love sitting out in the sun and meditating. I love those times. Like, I just slows your brain down from going da, 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 da. Because at the end of the day, when your brain is all over the place, you're not getting anything done effectively. Don't even pretend. You can't multitask like that. We're not cool like that. Humans aren't cool like that. You can pretend like you can multitask. You can probably lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're multitasking, but you're not. You're not doing everything 100% if you're doing more than one thing at once. Telling you right now, it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Even if you're talking and you're typing, not gonna happen. If you're eating while watching a movie, you're not paying attention to something. You're either not paying attention to the television because you're putting food in your mouth and you're paying attention to the savory flavors of that food, or vice versa. You're paying too much attention to the television and you don't pay attention to anything that's going on in your body. I'm telling you, it can't happen. It just doesn't happen. Get it out of your brain. No such thing as multitasking. So do it slowly. Okay? Next thing is to simply just tell yourself, like, now I am. And now this is something that I did for like 2 months, and it was really weird for me to say it out loud, but I did it because it was an action that someone had suggested to me. One of my coaches had suggested to me in order to do it, and I thought it was silly. I thought it was kind of silly. I was like, oh my gosh, why am I saying this? So getting in the habit of saying, I simply tell myself, now I am brushing my teeth. Now I am walking down the stairs. Now I am putting food in my mouth. Like, when you get so hyper-focused of exactly what you are doing in every single step, you start to just do it habitually. And what I find so helpful about this particular action, this particular tip, is especially when I am upset over something and I cannot stop dwelling on it. I cannot stop thinking about the situation over and over and over again, especially something where I feel like, let's say like I'm fighting with my boyfriend or something and I just can't stop going over the conversation, maybe how I could have handled it better, maybe how I could have said it differently, or maybe how he should have said it differently, or things like that. And it just takes up time out of your day that you don't need to take time out of your day for. It already happened, like I said in the beginning. Why did it happen? Because it happened. Was it supposed to happen that way? Of course it was. Why? Because it happened that way. Why fight something you have zero control over? Especially things in the past and especially things in the future. I can practice my little heart out how many times I want to say something to someone in the future. And I'm not saying don't practice certain things, especially if you're going into an interview or, you're going into a tattoo shop and this is your first time and you're an apprentice and you just like, okay, let me practice, being confident, things like that. I'm not saying don't do that. But have you ever noticed that when you go in there, unless you're an actress and you're a really, really a good actor or actress and you're on a lot of movies and you're very well versed in this and you've practiced and studied theater and drama and things like that, then nobody ever goes into a situation and actually says and does exactly what they hope to do and say. It just doesn't happen. So let it go. Practice it if you need to, especially for future things like that, but do not dwell on the past. I will tell you from experience that it does not help anything. Actually, all it does, and especially for me, and I will say from what it does for me, is that when I dwell back there, all I'm doing is wasting time right now. I am literally wasting my time right now. And so I can do that whole I woulda, coulda, shoulda nonsense for like an hour. I can do that more than an hour. Oh gosh, I'm embarrassed to say that. I have done that, where I just talk to myself thinking I'm talking at the person I was talking to yesterday that made me so upset over something so little. First off, life's not that serious, like I said. And second, I can't change it. The way it happened was supposed to happen. Learn from it. And then once you realize that once you get into your head that you've learned something from it, then it was supposed to happen, right? Because it happened and now you learned something and now it's not negative anymore. It's not a mistake anymore because I learned something from it. I learned something about myself. I learned something what the things maybe I don't like about myself and what I feel like I need to change for me. That's the way to think about it. So first thing is single task only, your work. Second thing is do it slowly. Third thing is tell yourself now I am. So for me, the now I am really works is when I, like I said, dwelling in the past. And literally this is where I'm trying to fight the thought that I'm no longer my thoughts. Because it's hard. That's a really hard concept to follow. So when I fight that thought, I'm no longer my thoughts, I literally will step. I'm taking another step. Now I'm taking another step. Now I'm taking another step. And a really good thing for me is I run. I do a lot of exercise. If I'm having anxiety or something like that. Sometimes in my runs, I've run for so many years and I'm so good at it that my thoughts still run away with me when I'm running physically. And so those are the times when I really am like step, 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 step. And I just say it over and over and over in my brain. And I know that might sound redundant and I know that might sound like monotonous and you're just like, Reese, why would you do that? But I'm telling you it works. It really does work. So now I'm taking another step. Now I'm taking another step. It's like literally voicing inside my head exactly what I'm doing. So the other thoughts, the subconscious thoughts, the egoic thoughts aren't taking over and being rude and mean and telling me that I did a terrible job or something like that. So tell yourself now I am. The fourth thing would be minimize what you let into your head really early in the morning. Because when you sleep, you're having subconscious dreams. Your brain has yet to talk at you. Because when you hear thoughts, that's just your brain talking at you. It's not you talking to yourself. It's none of that. Unless I'm consciously thinking the thought, I am doing this, I am doing that. That's me talking to me. But my thoughts talking at me is when my ego is saying, you know what you did yesterday? That was totally stupid. You should have done it better like this. Da, 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 da. Yikes, no thank you. So minimize what you let into your head, because the moment that you wake up and you put your brain starts talking at you. That's when your brain starts talking at you. So the first thing you need to do is, this is what I do, is that I get up right away. I don't look at my phone unless I'm turning off my alarm. I brush my teeth. I put my running shoes on and I get to working out, doing something physical, whether it's just my regular workout, whether it is going for a run, a walk, a bicycle ride, whatever it is, just to get my heart pumping, and for me to just keep rolling with my day. I start my day off physical And then I go into mental workouts. So I do all like my thought downloads. I go through my day, the feelings and things like that. And so I have a double workout, about a 2.5-hour workout every single morning for my body and for my mind. And I think it's really important to do those things because then we can kind of purge the thoughts outside of our brains and things like that. So when you minimize the things that you allow inside your head, like television, social media, podcasts, things like that, I think it's most important that you just get up and do something a little bit physical. Now, if it's going to be brain food, good kind of brain food, where it's, podcasts that help you in development for yourself or podcasts that are motivating and things like that, I think that's the best way to go about it. Anything gossipy, I don't know. That kind of stuff, I really, really believe in the concept by Marie Forleo that says, create before you consume. So go do something before you consume anything. And I'm saying like, go for a walk, maybe take a really, really hot shower with no sound on. Do something like just do something that moves you around and then go about your day. Go look at your Instagram after 2 hours or something like that. But don't do it right away because your brain just starts firing off things and starts making judgment and opinions so quickly. And it affects you and it takes you outside of you and it takes you outside of what's going on right now. So minimize that. And number 5 is to fucking breathe. Reconnect with the here and now. That's what I mean. So you fucking breathe, okay? Because the thing about breath, and if you really, really think about all the meditations, if you're watching this, I'm sure, we vibe. You probably tried meditating. If you don't like it, it's not for you, totally fine. But when you take in a full breath of air, in through your nose, out through your mouth kind of breath of air, full breath, your lungs, the full capacity. Did you know that you're actually sending like fireworks throughout your entire brain, most of which don't even get touched because we don't take in full breaths of air at all during the day? Isn't that crazy? So the moment you actually take a full breath of air and you realize you're doing it, automatically back in the moment, automatically aware that you are present here and now. And feeling a full breath of air is like heaven. It's like peaceful. You feel at peace with life. You feel good. It feels great. It feels so good to the point where you're like, nothing's that fucking bad. I have a good life, and I'm not speaking for everybody's circumstance. I know a lot of people like to argue with me, or have some dialogue with me. Well, what if it's like this? And what if it's like that? If you can't change your circumstance, change the thoughts you have about that circumstance. That's what I'm saying. So if you take a breath and you're stuck in a situation that you cannot get out of, literally cannot get out of, like there is absolutely no way you can get out of it. And I'm very at a loss of what that could be, but it could be anything. And if you're in that situation, change your thoughts about that situation. Take a breath. It works for everything. Take a breath. Get back in the moment. And then if you have to question the thoughts that are driving you crazy, question them. Write it down. Brain vomit all over a piece of paper and get it out of you. We have like a bajillion thoughts a day. We don't need all those thoughts. You can put them on paper and let them go. I can't tell you how much that has helped me over the years. I have journals on top of journals on top of journals, and I will go through them and I'm like, gosh, those were my thoughts. Yikes. Because I don't know what it is. We just tend to go towards the negative, and that's just the way it is. So, it just happens that way. I think it's just some sort of chemical imbalance inside of all of us that just tend to go toward the negative. And that's okay, because you know what? Those thoughts aren't us. We don't have to identify ourselves with those thoughts. We don't have to believe those thoughts. I don't believe them. It's definitely hard to be like, have a bad thought and not believe it right away. Sometimes you have to work at it. What we do, we got to work on that muscle. So 5 is to just fucking breathe, reconnect with the here and now. So I hope that helps you guys get in the moment and teaches you guys how important it is to be in the moment, how important it is to realize how abundant this world is in this moment, how abundant your life is in this moment. And honestly, everything else will just fall into place. So I hope you guys love the podcast. Let me know in the comments, and you can screenshot this, put it in your stories. Please, I love hearing from all of you guys. You guys are so great. Until next time on The Mind of Reese, I'll see ya on the flip side.